And then if you want to comment, you'll have to have YouTube up on a separate thing, muted, because only you'll be able to see the comments, but you won't be able to comment unless you have YouTube up. So, all right. Well, hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for the FaRoFeb reading sprint tonight. So excited for the guests that I have. We are just going to hang out and read, but first we'll maybe chat and give people some time to join. I know there was another romance live show happening tonight on Crystal's channel, so we'll see if some of them pop over to this. But yeah, I mean, our names are by ourselves, but how about you introduce yourself? We'll start with Juliet and why you're here. Why are you important enough to be here?
Am I? I'm not sure. Well, I'm Juliet, and I write paranormal and fantasy romance. I've published about 20 books in various subgenres of fantasy romance, and I'm here to represent for FaRoFeb. So I've done vampires and werewolves and dragons, half dragons, and angels and demons. So I think I've covered most subgenres. Not all.
Hitting there.
Yeah. Right now
I'll go next. This is way too much pressure, you know, representing and trying to figure out what makes you important enough to be here. My name is Maria Vale, and I write books mostly about wolves. And the reason I'm with FaRoFeb, I think, is because I write about wolves as though they are first and foremost wolves and only secondarily humans. So there's a lot of world building in it, and I think that's why I'm here. And
great question. I'm not qualified to be here.
Why are you here?
Why am I here? Go Harriet.
And I read a tremendous amount of fantasy romance.
Hey,
Harriet.
Oh, yeah, I see Harriet in the comments. So I'm Jessin. I am a romance reader of all subgenres, but I really love fantasy romance. I'm also co-host on a podcast called Smart Women Read Romance with Juliet up there. She is my aunt. She's my co-host, and this is like super fun to be able to do something like live with her because we've never done this before. This is like really cool. So anyway, and I just love talking about fantasy romance. Also, Jenn strong armed me into this. It's completely her fault. That's why I'm here. So I'm just joking. She did no convincing. I was just happy to be here. So I'm really excited to talk fantasy romance.
I'm so glad it's out now, because last time we had one of these, Jessin was like, I'm reading something. And I was like,
I'm so secretive. I'm so secretive.
Oh my gosh. Anyway. Well, yeah, I'm Jenn, and now I should have had you guys say what you were reading too, but we're giving people time to show up. So
we'll go around again.
We'll go around again, but I think everyone's just like, everyone's saying hello. Yes, we're here because we're here because of you, Harriet, as always.
Harriet.
Setting this up. It's so exciting. Let's see who else is here. Stacey's here. Hello. Mishy reads. Hello. This is so exciting. So I was just saying before this that I have a serious book hangover going right now. So I have a couple options to read. I'll show you what my options are. But mostly my brain is just, I'm afraid to read one next. Like, you know how it is? You read one you love so much and you kind of need to read like a slush book afterwards because
that's that whole book hangover.
Yeah. Don't want to hold any. I'm sorry, but like I can't hold people up to this. That I've been, not even just for the quality, but like I've been waiting for it for 5 years. So it's not fair, but you know, I am, funnily enough, this one isn't like fantasy romance, but I was telling Jessin about this book. So you all are captive on my channel. You can hear me tell you what it is. I'm reading this book called Into the Fire. And it's like a collection of novellas. And okay, get this. It's a historical romance set in 400 some AD about a blacksmith and a soldier who are lovers.
Nice.
The soldier comes home from war and is like, he's hurt and he is making it back to the cabin, the place where he grew up, which like he grew up with this blacksmith. And so he like rescues him and then they just start banging it out. It's great.
It's the best way.
I'm into it.
I love it. I love it.
That the guys made, like, But it's also the sweetest, cutest thing I've ever read because they adopt a kid together who's missing people. And I'm just like, this is just this homey little romance set in the Roman Empire. So there's that. So I might
love
read some of that just to like base set. But the two books I'm torn between, because I am kind of feeling the higher fantasy right now after reading that. So I do have this that I need to start still.
Oh, I heard a lot about that one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I love the first two. I love them. And our characters are set up in a very interesting way leading into this. So I might be here for it. But then I also need to start my reread of this at some point.
That's what I'm reading. That's what I'm going to be reading tonight.
Did you start it yet? Or are you going to start it now?
Okay, so I'm going to be...
She's going to fuss at you, Juliet. She's going to fuss.
Okay, I was going to totally lie, but I'm not going to lie.
Don't lie to me.
I told Justin I'm lying tonight, so go with it. But I decided not to lie. I started this right after I finished Heart of Blood and Ashes because it blew me away. Just blew me away. And I got distracted. I could probably blame this on Justin, actually, because it was probably a podcast book that pulled me away. And sometimes I have a little attention deficit disorder when it comes to books. Sometimes if I get distracted and I go like in one direction in a genre, like if you send me dark mafia books and I'm like, well, I can't just read one. I've got to read 3 or 4 of them.
You read 10.
And then I'll go back to where I was. I'm like, what was I reading again? I totally forgot where I was. So, needless to say, when you asked me to do this, I said, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start it again. And yeah.
Well, I'm not going to fuss at her. Why would I fuss at her?
Because you fussed at me for stopping in the middle of this book. You told me I was crazy.
Yeah, no. The biggest problem is, like, I can't point fingers because I slept on the first one for 8 months. Like, I tried that.
You're like one of the first ones that I heard of talking about it, though.
Yeah, I slept on it, and it took Sarah McLean being like, girl, the sex in this, read it. And I'm like, okay, I'll read it. And I was like, okay, I get it. And then I told everyone else because that's how it works.
I had so much fun podcasting about that book. It was, I think I got like a little carried away because I was just kind of like, oh, this is so amazing.
Yeah, I love listening to everyone's podcast about it because it's like, it's fantastic. Anyway, sorry, this is not turning into the Millavane show. We have you wonderful people here. So we know Juliet's reading. Maria, what are you reading?
I'm reading actually The Promised Queen, which is the 3rd volume in Jeffrey Kennedy's trilogy. Started with the Orchid Throne and then the Fiery Crown. And I really love the characters because like the Leah, the main female character, is like to me a combination of Elizabeth I and Padme Amidala. You know, it's like incredibly stiff and courtly, but very clever. And she's using her virginity to save her kingdom. So it's very sort of Elizabeth I vibe. And then the hero is, does anybody remember Darrow from Red Rising?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, good. Darrow Khan is like Darrow from Red Rising.
Wow.
Love it.
King who has been in the mines forever. He's all beaten up and scarred up and just filled with fury. And so he's a sort of great contrast.
Nice.
I love that. Love that. Well, I'm basic. I'm reading A Court of Silver Flames right now. I'm not that far in. So I know that everybody's probably like harping on this book. Jen's like waiting for me to finish. She has finished. I'm nowhere near finished right now. Yeah. But I did want to let everybody else know what the next book that I'm going to be reading is. It is The Harp of Kings by Juliet Marie.
Oh, yeah.
And this is like super special because like Juliet was the first one this way. She was the first one to introduce me to Juliet Marie. And I haven't read her for a while. She's like historical fantasy. I love the Celtic mythology that she brings up in her romances. And all of them are more historical fantasy oriented, but they all have a slight romance in there.
Right.
And it's just really beautiful. And I really like it. The premise of it, it's like literally, it's the Warrior Bard series. And the heroine is older and she's a very talented musician, and so is her brother, and they go to this island where they train warriors, and so like she's kind of like both. She's creative, but she's also a warrior, and I'm like, I cannot wait to start this book so much. And I love this cover so much. I really like the painted looking covers for Fantasy so much.
Beautiful.
So I'm in love with it. The second book in the series as well. I love the cover of it, and I can't wait to start it.
You guys were talking about the Jacqueline Carey, Cushiel's Dart.
Oh, yes.
Somebody else was talking about
that series. I've always wanted to start that one, and the covers have always sold me on it because it's beautiful. So,
and I know that Jeffy actually said start with chapter 27 or something like that.
Yeah, that's what she said. She's like, it's so slow. And the last one, she's like, it's so slow. Go into it. Go into it. Right. Yeah.
But I love the buildup, which was, you have to have a taste for S&M because
right.
Jenn, you're out.
Really? What?
That was a joke.
What do you mean? Tell me more. No.
And yeah, Jen's like, I'm totally in.
I love all of it.
I mean, to BR.
So like honest to goodness, the hardest part is like a lot of fantasies have like the slower burn because you're learning the whole world and stuff. And I'm just like a horny girl, just like get to it. Like,
but I think that's why I love. Right, I think that's why I love Mill of Veins, A Heart of Blood and Ashes so much. Is even, I mean, it wasn't insta love or anything like that. There's still like tons of world building, but everything was done through action and plot progression. It wasn't like, okay, let's slow down for info dump for 5 more pages. Just like it was constantly moving, and I was, and a lot of it was just told through deep characterization that she was just.
Really? You knew so much about the characters when there was literally a bloody hand job going on. And I was just like, I'm learning so much about these characters right now.
Seriously, crazy. I'm in.
Fargo. It's the blood of his enemy. Like, how hot is that?
That's because I'm all about it. Yes.
Yeah, like that's my thing though, is that I like people can still be doing it and still have work to do, and still have places to go. And I think like that's the thing I get mischaracterized as being like, oh, Jenn just wants it, which I do. Just give me the bank. It's fine. But also you can tell a really deep story where like we still have places to go in our relationship just because that happened. But
I have trouble sometimes with romantic suspense because sometimes you end up, you're running away from like a small army and you're in a sewer and somehow you stop to bang.
Get romantic.
Get that right out of the way.
Podcast. You call it the danger bang. It's the danger bang.
Danger bang.
In my mind, I'm like, no, this is a vulnerable position. You want to have your weaponry out? You want to have, back to back? I don't know.
Do you really need an orgasm or do you need to not get shot? Like, these are our choices,
Right.
So.
Or then always come later if you have not been shot.
Oh my gosh, this is fantastic. Okay, well, what we're gonna do? I would put a timer here. We will do a 30-minute read, and then we'll chat again. And if we end up having time, we can do maybe a second one tonight. We'll see what everyone's up for. I know it's later on the East Coast, so it depends on what people got tomorrow. But you got a snow day tomorrow again, right?
I do. Well, it's not a snow day here. It's an ice slick day in South Louisiana. But yes.
All right, so I'm going to put this up. This is the time that we're going to read until, and so we'll all just mute ourselves and we'll just read. It'll be great. We'll be back.
Thank you.
Okay. How was that for everybody? Wow, everyone was sucked into their books.
I know. I was deep in there.
That's
I'm
great.
having a good time. Can't lie.
I'm excited.
I'm at a good part.
I love the characters already. I mean, I remembered from the beginning, but Arax, how do you say his name? Arax? Is that how y'all say it?
Arax, yeah. I heard Arax and
his snowcat. I was giggling to myself. It's so cute. Big giant
like. Mm-hmm. I love animal familiars or companions or anything.
Yeah.
Like I'm trash
Same.
for them.
Absolutely same.
Same.
Absolutely same. No, I'm at a good part. I'm about, well, I don't even know what percent I'm in the book. Hold on, I'm gonna check real quick. But I was frustrated in the beginning. I'm at 40%, and I was frustrated in the beginning, but now I'm like, okay. So I'm excited about this book.
Yeah.
And how it's unfolding.
And I was telling you, I was like, all the things you're frustrated about start to change like right where you're stuck at. Because
I'm reaching the turning point in the book where I'm not as frustrated with the heroine and her antics right now. So yeah. I'm good.
And I was like, keep going. And then I didn't. And then I was
Jenn's like, okay, I'm like 15 chapters ahead of you. And then like, I read a couple chapters, I do a couple things. And Jenn's like, I'm finished. I'm like, what are you doing?
Whatever.
That's Jenn. Please, I'm done.
Hours to finish. So it was great. It was worth it. It
Jenn,
was.
did you read Anna Gire? What was it? Strange Love?
No, I haven't yet. I've heard
really good and has one of the best dog familiars.
Yeah.
That's on my list. That's been on my list from books that everyone was talking about in 2020.
Yeah.
That was one of them.
One of my very few blind spots is like alien and sea creature romances.
I secretly really, really love them. Not secretly to talk about it, but like this is like some of the things that I search for really good ones. I'm on the hunt. I'm like, give me a good alien romance because I love them when they're good. I like really love them.
Yeah, like those Ruby Vixens.
Yeah, there was this one that it was the something promise. Dang it, I can't remember. And it had the best setup, and then it just like didn't. And I was like, you have it all set up there. It's almost like serial killer and psychiatrist setup, but between like an alien that they found. And I was like,
just read Born Darkly, so that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, and then it didn't complete. But I don't know if there was a sequel to that one. That's the thing too. I could probably look and see, but anyway.
The book I wanted to read just because I loved the title, which was I think it was called Amish Vampires in Space.
Wow, that's interesting.
I'd read it.
Tell me more.
I didn't end up reading it because everybody really loved the title, and I'm not sure whether anyone really got into the book or not.
Sure.
So
this is the title that did it for everyone. It was like, yes,
Amish Vampires in Space.
I love it.
I just don't get how they're Amish. I'm very interested in how
they still have Amish in space. How are they plowing fields?
Right. All you're thinking is you're taking a buggy?
I know.
How do you get a buggy into space?
How do they go from buggy to space? What's happening?
Oh my goodness.
So, or how do you be low technology in space?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got abducted.
We're breaking some religious laws.
Right. And you notice that we're all sort of skipping over the vampire portion of this equation.
Yeah.
I mean, that has to be later.
The
Amish were abducted and turned into vampires. That's what happened. I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe there's a race of vampires, and that's why they're so secretive in society in real life. I don't know.
There was actually a really good one called, I think it was called The Hallowed Ones. I don't know if anybody read that, but it was set in an isolated Amish community, and there is something that's like eating them.
See, you said eating them. And I'm like, is this horror or is it?
Yeah, that sounds like horror.
No, it's really more creepy because I have a really low tolerance for
I don't
horror.
like things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Watching horror is scary, but reading horror is terrifying.
Terrifying.
It's like in your head. I mean, I read a couple of Stephen King's when I was younger, and I was so scared I couldn't sleep. Like, I'm like, I can't read this. This is too scary.
Like in the Illuminae Files, which is one of my favorite book series ever. There's a plague that goes through, and it turns them into like creepy zombies. And I'm like, this I was not expecting. And like the audiobook has like creepy sounds for it. And I was just like,
could not do it. Just let it go,
Yeah.
guys.
And it doesn't say when she could have done that.
I don't like to watch horror films. If there's like a horror commercial on, I'm like hiding. I'm like, where's the remote? Please change this
and
channel.
the being can talk to you, like when it can talk to you, like
We watched The Shining. We had friends over, and my husband and my friends ended up watching The Shining, and I spent the entire time washing dishes in the kitchen just because that was the farthest I could get.
I
wanted to make noise. I did not want to hear it. I didn't want to.
The Shining is terrifying. Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because I will read paranormal romances where it's really bad. I mean, like I think of The Mortals After Dark. There's some nasty stuff happening in it.
Yeah.
But when Cressley Cole dresses it up, I'm like, please give me more. It's pretty horrifying.
Well, you can have like really like dark, scary, paranormal like settings, but if there's humor that lightens it, I mean, I think of like the Guild Hunter series by Nalini Singh. They're chasing these scary ass serial killer angel beings and whatever. And yet, I mean, they're doing some terrifying things in the background, but there's a lot of humor and sexual tension and stuff like that that just changes it, you know?
This happened to me.
Okay.
During October, when YouTube makes you watch the first like 15 seconds of a horror something, and I'm like, no, stop.
I can't handle that.
I know.
Exactly.
Every film class makes you watch it. I could just sit there cringing for credit.
It's terrifying. It's terrifying.
I'm okay without it.
No,
I used to have to take my take my son to.
I like horror movies, so I'm with Ashley.
Oh,
I just don't like the books. The books are too scary for me.
That's fair.
Interesting.
That's fair. I mean, you are sitting with it for longer, and it's like in your head.
Whereas it is. When it's in your head, and also I know this sounds stupid, but I'm by myself. Like my husband and I watch horror movies, but if he falls asleep, I will turn that shit off so fast. I'm like, I'm not fucking watching this by myself. Like you're gonna watch it with me, and we're together being terrified, or I'm not watching it, you know. But
you need your baby to protect you. It's fine.
Exactly.
I'm here for it too. Like
I was in college when The Exorcist came on TV, and everybody on my floor went to watch The Exorcist, and I knew my own limits. And I said, no, I'm just staying.
That's one I can't watch.
I'm not going. Every single one of them slept on the floor next to my bed because I was the only calm person in that entire floor.
Yeah, that's one I cannot watch. Oh goodness.
Avery, it is always appropriate on my channel to tell me you are reading Outlander, so you are totally fine. I hope you enjoy yourself. Have a great
Book Addict 10. They're reading A Touch of Stone and Snow too, so that's awesome. Yeah, Kayab is so cute.
Yeah, I love it. Even though he like will eat your face off.
Exactly. That's what he's hysterical. He's like, you know, cutting like giant dragonflies in half and blood's flying everywhere, but he's like
he's playful too.
He's playing.
Yeah.
He's like just a little like
Betty's
cat dog hybrid.
Yeah,
I love it.
I'm a cat person, so
well, you know, I pretend he's kind of dog-like, even though he's like a snow leopard kind of thing.
He had to come in here because I was coming in here late at night.
Yeah. No, I feel the same way. And that cat, he's not just for looks, so I love that. I love wolves and cats that are sentient or like protective. So
yeah,
you're really happy.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, lots of people reading. Oh, someone's reading Heart of Blood and Ashes.
Good for you.
Good for you.
Dog. Like, I wish, do y'all ever wish, I think Justin and I talked about this, like, wish you could go back to where you hadn't read a book before and you want to redo it again.
Mm-hmm.
That initial experience, that like awe, that like, what am I reading? This is so amazing. I love it. I'd want to experience it again.
Well, you just, like, I mean, you weren't just doing it. You were reading for the first time, but you just did that with my favorite books. And I cried. I cried that you got to read them for the first time. Like because I wonder that. Like, I honestly wonder that. I'm like, what would it be like reading that for the first time now? Because it's taken me lots of rereads to fully glean everything that I've gleaned. And like, you and Tiffany were both just picking everything up the first time. And I was like, you don't have to work for that information. You just But 20-year-old Jenn was just like, oh, he's purty. Which, he's purty. Like,
hey, look, hey, what did I say when I had my beautiful, like, illustrated cover? I was like, who is this? Who is this Jenn? Why is this character so hot? I kept asking her, and that's the main character of that book. So
completely out of context, not an important thing, is there's literally a scene in this book where she's like, well, show it to me. And he's like, okay. And he pulls up his hair and takes off his shirt and starts doing the like workout. And I'm like, I didn't even see this. And she's like, oh no, I shouldn't have asked him to do that. Oh no. And also,
have you ever put off reading a book until all the books are out in a series?
Yeah.
I cannot.
Do what? Say that again.
I've put off I've put off reading a book until the whole thing is out, so that I know I can read it from top.
I agree, Maria. Actually, that happened with me with I'm waiting right now. Beck McMaster has a new Fae series out, and the first one is Promise of Darkness, and I read it, and then I realized, I was like, oh God, this is the same couple for a couple of books. And then I saw, as soon as the second one came out, I saw readers saying, oh my God, that cliffhanger, I'm dying. And I'm like, okay, I'm not reading book 2. I'm gonna wait for book 3, and then I'll go back.
Yeah. I mean, luckily with this series, like, the second one kind of has a cliffhanger, but the other ones, they all like kind of wrap up themselves in themselves.
Yeah. I prefer having like some loose threads, but the main point like wrapping up. Like, if it's like a major cliffhanger where it's like you absolutely have no idea what's about to happen next, I will get annoyed with that, and I would have been like, I wish I would have waited until the next book's out. But if it's kind of like a loose thread, like, oh, I can't wait until they pick this back up in the next book or whatever, I'm okay with that.
Like, if they call it HFN, happy for now,
Happily, this has a wrap up for everybody. So there you go. Non-spoiler.
I'm not starting that until later.
Yeah.
What? Have to wait.
It also depends on how long you're going to have to wait.
Right.
It's true. It's knowing when's the next book going to come out. Is it going to be a year, 2 years? I'm like, I've read a Song of Ice and Fire series, and I'm like, 10 years. Oh my God, what is happening right now?
So he says.
It's never going to be published. I'm just accepting it. It's not ever going to be published. Everything but this book will be published.
I mean, it's like
the history of all the families in Westeros will be published before this next book is published, and I'm just like, whatever. I don't care. Don't care anymore.
It's like, even book series that are super long, it's like, do you wait till it's finished or do you just dive in? Because it's like, who knows when Cressley Cole's next book will come out. Like, Outlander, she's writing it, but it takes her 50 million years. And like, how do you know? You just got to jump in sometimes.
Yeah, but I think there's a difference between things that are like trilogies or actually have a narrative arc for the series. If it's, a Nalini Singh or something like that, I'm not sure that you need that there is a necessary end coming.
Right. Yeah, at least there's an overarching arc, but like the individual character stories, they're wrapped up within that book. So it's like you're satisfied. You're satisfied, but it's still like that overarching thing that's happening, and it still creates excitement for the next book, but you're not like feeling destitute after like you finish and be like, that was just not, I didn't have my HEA. You always have it. So it's okay for me. It's okay.
Yeah.
Right.
That's fair.
Yeah, I agree with that. When it's separate couples in the series, we get our HEA, for each couple. But I'm always dubious when I see like, oh, it's one couple, and how many books are in this series? I'm always like, I have to think about it. Like,
what's the ideal number?
Yeah, what is the ideal number?
Yeah, if you're gonna have more than one volume.
For me personally, for me, 3. If it's a trilogy, I'm like, I will start that now because I know I will finish a trilogy within a week or 2. Like, I can do that. But like, if it's like, I still have not finished Kate Daniels, and I fucking love Alona Andrews and Kate Daniels. Like, I love them, but it's like,
it's intimidating because like you started it and it's 10 books.
I still have 6 fucking books to read. Sorry, I get too frustrated because honestly, I read books constantly. But when I know I'm going to have to dedicate that much time to just this series, and I have a 1 podcast book a week I have to do, which I'm required reading. But it's like, I know that takes priority. And then Maria, as you know, the writing schedule takes priority. And so it's kind of like every time I think about a long series, I'm like, not right now. It's like, that's another reason I haven't started the whole Court of Thorns series, because I know that's like freaking long too. Big old book. So I'm like, in the summer, maybe,
Right.
So.
I did actually the Alona Andrews Innkeeper Chronicles, which were fantastic.
Our podcast is coming out tomorrow on that one.
We just did a podcast in book 1. Yeah.
I loved it because for me, it's about this woman whose power comes from her house.
It's awesome.
And she'll do anything she can to protect the people inside. And at one point, I think it's in the 3rd volume or something, there are these sort of creatures who smell bad. They have terrible communication skills, and they're very awkward.
Teenagers
metamorphose into these absolutely wonderful, these wonderful people. And all I could think of was, she lives with teenagers. And
teenagers.
She does.
First thought. Bad hygiene. They smell.
Right.
They take care of themselves. It's teenagers. Yeah.
It's talking about Name of the Wind, which is the path of Rothfuss. And I've loved those first 2 books, and I've reread them. Who knows if the 3rd one's going to come out?
Yeah. I think it's funny you mentioned Clean Sweet or the Innkeeper Chronicles, because when we were talking about animals that play such large roles, I was thinking of Beast.
Sweet.
I only read book 1, but I am reading that one too. Thanks, Jess.
I've read all of them. I binged them. They're amazing. I love them. I can't wait for the next one.
They were just perfect pandemic readings somehow.
Yeah.
So good.
Well, what I was gonna hop in and then we went is Juliet says she doesn't want to start a long series, but I told them that my favorite book in this Mafia series was book number 8, and they both started at the beginning of the series and read all of them until they got to it. So I was like, she doesn't mind it that much though, because
I don't know if it's the same for contemporary though, honestly.
But in those first
very long series, I feel like I can binge them faster than fantasy or paranormal worlds.
You both literally talked over each other the entire way through just what you said.
All right. That's what we do. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, Jess.
It's natural. It's a natural thing.
I knew if I had them both on this thing that it was going to be chaos.
We're used to talking over each other.
We are. And I hear her, but I continue talking. I'm like,
and me too.
But
Jess.
I love it. It's great. No, it's fantastic. Oh, well, this was so much fun. I'm I literally have a headache from crying so hard during that book. So I need to.
Oh, I can't wait to read this. I'm dying to read it.
I cried with happiness. I cried with happiness. I promise.
I'm about to say, Jenn cries when she's extremely happy as well, too. So
okay.
You know how I am. I don't.
Yeah, I'm Juliet. Happiness makes me cry, just like it does you. But I
cry at everything. I don't like the angsty, sad tears, though.
Yeah. Well. It was beautiful, but I cried. So I'm my eyeballs are oh my gosh. Crying through the tears to read the pages. You're just But anyway, well, thanks everyone for joining us tonight. This was so much fun. Maria, it was so nice to meet you. Thanks for
It was wonderful to be here. Thank you so much. And, it's great to have a chance to read and to chat. So,
it was nice to meet you, Maria.
It's nice.
We're gonna chat some more behind the scenes.
Absolutely. Okay.
Well, everyone who's watching, thanks for joining. And yeah, have a great rest of the FaRoFeb. I mean, we still have a couple weeks to go, and it feels like it's been going forever, but also still 2 weeks left. But probably 2 weeks left. But everyone have a great night. Thanks so much.
Bye.